A contradiction between the car-free diet program and allowing more and taller buildings to be built in Arlington, with the justification stated as increasing the tax base. This method of increasing the tax base does not decrease the number of cars, but rather increases their number on our streets, and public transportation has been largely ineffective in reducing traffic. That's gonna be fun in 1 minute.
Well, yes, because one of the central tenets of my campaign is the fact that I think that we need to balance the density in this community against what's going on with the neighborhoods. Do we want to become an urbanized canyon, a city, or do we want to remain a county? You know, we have an adequate balance today between urbanization and neighborhoods, and I think we need to keep that balance. The taller the buildings that go into the county, the more transportation strains, the more cars on our roads, the more infrastructure is strained, and the ability for us to move around in the county becomes much worse. So we really need to get smarter and smarter about smart growth, about how we're going to do it, and then learning the lessons along the R&B corridor and taking those on to Columbia Pike, and then to Pentagon City, and then off to Lee Highway. So yes, I believe that densification is going to lead to a lot more issues in the county.
Well, densification already has, and nowhere is it more evident than Ballston, in the Ballston area where I live, where just walking along the sidewalk of Lee Road is hazardous because of the cars coming in and out of the underground parking garages of these large residential multifamily dwelling units. I think that there is no near-term solution to this problem. Because it's a cultural problem. We have a car culture. Americans think in terms of cars. I think someone here mentioned, and I think it was Christian, in European societies, they don't think that way. And so there's not as much demand for cars, and there's not as much congestion as a result. Now, it's the one thing we could do, county board hasn't done, and I'm not saying they have to do it, but we could change our ordinance such that the number of parking spaces per new multifamily unit could be reduced. But what that does is it offloads traffic on residential streets and guarantees that that's not going to fly.
Yeah, so it's not really height of buildings, it's type and size of units that it impacts what's going to happen in terms of vehicular activity from that, and we have to marry that reality with our parking requirements and not just simply think that if we lower parking maximums, that will keep cars off the road. In many neighborhoods that doesn't work when units are of a type that are conducive to people who have family situations who are living there. So we have to marry those policies so that they work well. And back to my earlier answer, and I can be quick on this is why it's important to have multimodal strategies that are actually comprehensive and effective and provide the legitimate incentive for people to ditch the car. That's why people ditch the car. Until it becomes ingrained in our culture, they do so because it works for them. If we don't create the conditions for it to work for them, doesn't matter what we do in terms of parking minimums or maximums or how we think about density, we're going to have this issue of too many cars given what we would like for our community to grow sustainably.
I do think there is this tempting idea out there that is somehow if we just stood as a brick wall against any additional development, that would alleviate all of our challenges here in Arlington. You know, growth is better than the alternative, which is stagnation and decline, but how do you manage it and manage it intelligently? And I do think that gets back to a conversation that we've been having throughout the evening, which is how do you make sure that you have the transportation infrastructure to support new residents? And so I think, you know, just to expand a little bit on that parking minimums with buildings issue, it really has to be, you cannot simply will away folks' desire to travel in a car. You do have to provide alternatives. There was a plan just approved, I believe, in Clarendon that has given the developer flexibilities on parking minimums if they provide, I believe it's, you know, WMATA benefits, bike share, and other transit alternatives. So you have to connect these things to each other. You cannot simply will away the traffic or parking implications of additional development. You have to, again, give people concrete alternatives.